at First and Jackson in Harlingen.
We are back here at the Luke Freya Show as we are in Brownsville, Texas. First show of the 2023 year. Again, Happy New Year. I hope you had a Merry Christmas to all that was out there. Joining us now, Coach Mo Molina. Well, his dad is Mo Molina. That's Brian Molina joins us. I got Molina on my brain. I was thinking about your dad a while ago. Coach, here we are, start of the new year, and a lot of excitement, Harlingen South basketball.
Yes, sir. It really is. Start of a new year. We've gotten off to a really good start. So far, and kids are working hard, and everything's kind of going according to schedule for us right now. So I'm really happy with it right
now. I'm going to let Ruben do a lion's share of the interview here, but I did want to get a couple of questions in, and that is the early questions I always ask a coach. When you're sitting there atop your district, getting ready to round out the first round of district play, getting into that second round, a lot of coaches do the assessment, I'm sure you're one of them, that says, here's where I expected to be. Are you there, or are you behind, or are you ahead of where you expected to be as you get ready for these next few games starting into this part of the year?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, right now I think we're right where we need to be. I think we're getting better game after game, and that's a big goal that I tell the kids. I don't think we've peaked yet, which is huge. I think our best basketball is still ahead of us. Obviously, the learning curve is great right now because of the young team that I have at a senior ball club last year. I do have one or two that are back from last year's team, but in the end, this is a new group, and with the real tough non-district schedule that I put together for them, and we took our bumps and bruises early, and I reassured them that it's all for a reason. And so right now, the process is going where I want it to be. We're exactly where I want it to be, and hope that we would be. And I know we're going to take every team's best punch, so we're just going to try to keep getting better game after game.
One other assessment question, and that is, was there a time during that tough non-district part of your schedule in which you walked in the gym day after a game, starting practice, that you looked at your kids and said, they got it. They got what I want them to do? Was there a game you can define?
Yeah, honestly, there was. I think coming out of the road tournament. They kind of figured things out. We took a couple of losses in that road tournament, but I think I saw them getting better. I saw a little switch kind of click onto them. I think they saw what they needed to see. We needed to take some of those losses there, but I think all in all, it kind of put us to where we wanted to go. I knew that the strength of schedule that we put together early was for a reason, and we did. We took it on the chin a couple of times, and obviously there's games that we would like to get back and try to. I think if we played them right now instead of so early in the season, we would probably do a little bit better. But it's like I told the kids. I said, in the end, we're 0-0 starting district play when we went into Pace. I had just seen Brownsville play Brownsville veterans, and both teams were very, very, very good. But I think because of the schedule that we put together, I think we were ready for it. And so I'm proud of the way the kids have been responding.
Coach Brian Molina, I'm going to turn it over to Ruben Rodriguez. He did some announcing of your games last night. I'm going to step aside. I got some meetings to get to. Appreciate you joining our show.
Thank you, Mr. Molina.
You got it.
All right, Coach, again, here, Brian Molina, Harlingen South head coach. Coach, congrats on your win last night. I know I got to cover it 56-35 against Donna. Break it down. What did we see? How did you feel the game went for y'all yesterday?
Donna is very well coached. Coach Epperson does a great job with them. I knew that they were going to come in prepared, and they were. We started out slow, but I told the kids, credit Donna. I mean, they defended us really, really well. I told them to keep their focus on our defensive goals, which we have every single quarter, and they were able to hit 3 out of those 4 goals. And so I told them just, kind of trust the process, and I knew it was going to be tough in the first quarter, but if we could withstand their first punch and just kind of move forward from that, we'll be okay, and they certainly did that last night.
Yeah, you can never let a team define the record. I know Donna was having a bit of a rough start this year, but I saw that first quarter. It took 2 minutes or about a minute for one team to score, and then it slowly broke open. They jumped ahead early on. You guys closed it out, and one highlight tonight was Jeremiah Vega. He was going up, lost the ball, picks it up, handles it in, and drains a casual half-court shot, and then that gave you all the momentum, 12-9 in the first. How did the performance peak from there?
Yeah, he hit a really big shot. Take away that shot, it's what a tied ball game at the end of the first quarter. So I think that gave us a little bit of breathing room right there. I think we were able to feed off of that. I know we bumped it up and went up by about 10, and then Donna called timeout and responded after that. And I think at about halftime it was a pretty tight ball game. We hadn't really pulled away yet, and I told them, like we always talk about, our third quarter has got to be huge, and the kids came out, did well in the third quarter, and we were able to correct things that we quite didn't do well against Brownsville Lopez in the fourth quarter, and they fixed that last night, so I'm proud of them.
Yeah, because going into that halftime, it was Christian Sanchez for Donna and then Stevie. They're combining 22 points. Those guys are just going at it all game. But you guys broke it up. And for those of you who didn't get to watch, these were the final totals. It was 56-35. Stevie already got 25 points. Isaiah Cantu putting up 7. Adrian Sanchez, Albert Robles with 3 apiece. Pablo Guevara putting up 10. Nick Garcia putting on 1. Jeremiah Vega puts up 5. And then Ryan Rodriguez puts up 2. So just a big performance here for you guys to go on to 6-0 in district play. How it's just... Okay, Joe mentioned on it earlier. How do you feel you guys have been going so far as we near the halfway mark of first half district play?
I'm really pleased, Ruben. I mean, the kids seem to, it's tough to come in and day out, especially in practice. But we put together some good practices, and I tell them, we always say the same: don't leave it in practice. And they've been taking it over to the games. Obviously, we're in a very, very competitive district. I mean, in a district where if you don't show up on game night, you can very easily get beat, and we've seen that throughout our district. We haven't strayed away from our formula, which is let's just take care of ourselves, and we'll let our opponents worry about what they need to take care of, and God willing, we'll keep taking our best step forward, and hopefully we can still win off some W's. I know that obviously with Wesco East on Friday, then Brownsville Vets, and then Mercedes. Easier said than done. It's going to be tough. We're in for a fight, but I know the kids are looking forward to it.
And then I always like to touch back on last season, too. Last season, you guys had a good season. You finished off in second in 32, 6A, 22-14 overall, 9-5 in district. This year, it was a tough district last year. This year, you hit into a tougher district because it's a 10-team district, 18 games. I remember we talked early on. You told me it was, hey, I got this experience in volleyball season. I know what it's going to be like for us whenever we start up on basketball season. You mentioned earlier, and you said it clearly, it's a marathon, not a sprint. 6-0 again, Coach. How do you feel? This is, again, I lost my train of thought for a second, but you guys, if you a longer district schedule means you have a shorter non-district schedule. And that's always your progress report here in the district. Hey, this is where we are. This is what we want to do. This is how we want to get better. Do you feel like you were up to par? How do you want it to be heading to district?
I'll be honest with you. After coming off of a tough non-district schedule, my assistant coach and I, we sat down and we talked about it, and I was a little worried. Because, sometimes with a young team like we have, they didn't really taste that much success because of the type of opponents that we played. So what I have to do as a coach is adjust my pregame talks, adjust my practice talks, and reassure them that we've played opponents that are going to get us ready for this gauntlet that we're about to go through. And I think the biggest step we've taken so far was beating a very tough Brownsville Pace team to start off district, and I think that just got the ball rolling for us, and we haven't looked back since. So I think that's everything that I wanted out of preseason. I guess that was a measuring stick right there to get us going for district.
Yeah, again, folks, in Harlingen South in 32-5, they make the jump down after the realignment in February. That gives them 3 more games to the first half. I know you have Wesco East on Friday. Then you take on Brownsville Veterans Memorial Tuesday, the next Friday in Mercedes. So, and a little more about South District. Okay, last year, guys, in 32-6A, you were 3-3, 6 games in. New district, you're 6-0, 16 games. What do you feel has changed for y'all?
I think our mentality changed. I think we learned from last year. Even though a lot of these kids didn't get playing time last year, with the exception of Stevie, I think they were along for the ride, and I think that they were able to learn. And I think one of the biggest things what we preached this year, because we're always trying to learn from last year, was let's start a little bit earlier. Let's start quicker. We came out of the gate kind of slow last year. But a progress report right now is we're sitting at 6-0, and I'm happy to be there.
And Coach, let's also talk about how this lengthy district calendar has gone for y'all. Again, we mentioned earlier it's a marathon, not a sprint. He told me it was y'all had a rough start in that non-district, but then you gelled together in district play. You mentioned earlier also the thing you told me was it was just about adjusting and executing. How's that worked out for y'all?
It's been really, really well. We played a lot of teams with a lot of different styles. We played teams that pressed us. We played teams that sat in the zone. We played teams that were aggressive with us man to man. So I tried to put together a schedule where we got to see every phase of it. I played teams that played us in a box and one. Some even played us in a triangle and two, because I know people are going to try to stop Stevie as much as they possibly can. So I think all those tests for us early are helping us right now.
And as we near the end of the first half of district play, what do you feel has been the major lesson learned for y'all throughout this district?
I think the major lesson learned for us right now is we found our identity quick in this district. Coming from 32-6A, you see the same opponents for the last 8 to 10 years that we played. So we're kind of the new kid on the block coming into our district, with the exception of Donna North, who's the only familiar foe that we have. So us being able to find our identity quick and early in this new district has, I think, paid off dividends for us.
As I also did my research too, last time you guys went 6-0 in the district, that was in 35-5A, but way back, 2013, 2014. I wonder how far that was. I was a freshman in high school when that happened. So, you mentioned earlier, that's when y'all were in 5A, but you were still with Harlingen, you were still with San Benito, and then 6A formed in 2014. That's when you guys, again, you said it for yourself, 8 to 10 years, you're seeing the same teams. You make the jump down. You lost my pen. You make the jump down. You make the jump down to 5 back to 5A. You're back in a new neighborhood, and we've seen the gel it pretty often. Too, a lot of teams say that they start to gel midway through district, but and you even said yourself, you're gelled early on, but you haven't hit your peak yet.
Yeah, and that's important for us. A lot of players, like I told the kids, I said right now we need to be decent. We need to be good. We don't need to be great yet. We still have a lot of room for improvement. And then when I look across the court, I was telling my assistant coach, as a matter of fact, when we were up here, on our way up here, one of the pleasing things is, with the exception of losing Isaiah and Dylan and Achilles, for the most part, my team's coming back next year. Obviously Caleb and Naya, same way. I mean, those are a couple of seniors that we're losing, but the majority, our core is coming back next year. So we're excited about that.
Which leads me to my next question. Talk about your team this year. I know you mentioned you have a young squad. You have Stevie Ortegon, who's leading the way, one of the key top players in the Rio Grande Valley, but he's not the first superstar player you've had to know back in recent years. Even talking when I was in high school, you had guys like Aaron Briones, Noah Perez, and then last year, more recently, Dean Batteru, Ethan Salinas. How do you feel he's pretty much taken the torch in a sense this year?
What I like about Stevie is he's such a great leader on and off the court. I mean, he's every coach's dream. I mean, he's ranked number 2 in his class. He's obviously one of the hardest working players in practice every single day. What makes him so successful, what makes us so successful, is the kids respect him, and he's a team first type player. And I think as this season has gone along, he's taken some pressure off his own shoulders, and has started to let the game kind of come to him a little bit. And he's doing it at the right time, which is during district play. I know a lot of times we sat down early in the season because I think he felt like, well, we just lost Dean and Jeremiah Rivera and Jaden Galindo and all those guys, Ethan Salinas, off of last year's team. I think he tried to take on that burden right off the bat. And I think what I like the most about him is he's adjusted. He's kind of analyzed and taken a step back and looking how he could be a better teammate for his team. And obviously he's already a natural leader. And so, he's kind of put those two elements together, and it's made him into a pretty scary basketball player right now.
One of the top players in the Rio Grande Valley, but he hasn't done it alone. He's had Pablo Guevara make some plays, Nick Garcia, again, we talked about earlier, Jeremiah Vega hitting the half court, Isaiah Cantu, Dylan Maldonado. How has just the chemistry been flowing for y'all ever since that non-district up until here?
The chemistry's going great. I mean, one of the big secrets is Dylan Maldonado. I mean, realistically, he's one of our top players, but he's still not 100% yet. Coming off a knee injury, so he's getting better day by day. But I think them gelling together, I think a lot of people don't know that our JV was back-to-back district champions, which is where Pablo and all them were last year. And so I think with the experience that they had last season, they've kind of had a great spring and a great summer. and they've been working hard, and I think they're right where they want it to be at this point as well.
And we'll get to start wrapping things up shortly. But then we talk about your district, and it's a very lengthy district, but a lot of heavy hitters. Harlingen South 6-0, Wesco East also on your tails. Brownsville Pace, Brownsville Vets, Brownsville Lopez. Brownsville Vets had a slow start and already knocking on the door at fourth. How is just the district, like the district environment, gone for y'all?
You know, the district environment is tough. Obviously, we look at the schedule and we kind of sit down and we look at who everybody's playing. And, you know, we've seen it almost every team so far. You know, obviously we have 3 left. And I think one thing that this district has proven is that on any given night, anybody can beat each other. I mean, even if you look at Donna worried me because, I mean, I'm looking at their scores, and they were in every single ball game. You know, so obviously we don't take anybody lightly. We prepare for every team the very same way, and that process has kind of helped us. Obviously, some of these kids got to learn from the gauntlet of 32 6A last year. I mean, you know, when it's definitely different than preparing for, you know, your Harlingen Highs, your Los Fresnos, your Westlacos, your San Benitos. You know, all those teams are just and Brownsville Hannah. I mean, all those teams they're coming at you every single night. And I think because of last year and what we went through, it's only helped us this year with that drop from 6A to 5A.
Yeah, because I remember last year in 32 6A, it was you, it was Hannah, it was Harlingen. It was Wesco on top. You, Harlingen, and Hannah were on that 3-way tie constantly to see who was the number 2 seed, and then you guys finished off the number 2 seed, got the key wins over Harlingen and over Brownsville Hannah. Now, coaches, we start to wrap things up again. Your next 3 games, you got Wesco East on Friday, you got Vets on Tuesday, and the next Friday, Mercedes. How do you feel like just what lies ahead for y'all?
You know, I feel good about where we're at. I think obviously it's like I told the kids, with every game that we play, the opponents are not so much every opponent's gonna give you your best punch, obviously, but the opponents are gonna keep getting tougher and tougher. And leading into the second round, everybody's already played each other one time, so obviously those opponents are automatically gonna be more difficult. Everybody makes their adjustments. I think our kids handle the adjustment process that we put in front of them very, very well. And they've done a really good job of taking what we do in practice and applying it to the games, and I think it's shown us some success early so far. But I know that Friday, I know Wesco East is ready for us. I know we're going to have to go on the road. So I know the kids are excited. They're excited, and you know, we can only control ourselves, and that's what we're trying to do the whole way.
Now, Coach, any final shout-outs, any final thank yous, anyone watching?
No, you know, obviously I want to thank the Hawk Nation. They're behind us all the time. I want to thank Real Sports Live for having me here, and obviously my parents, my family, my girlfriend, all those people that just kind of they're kind of our support system behind what we do and how we do it. Like I said, I'm blessed to be at Harlingen South. It's no mystery. It's no mystery why we're successful. It's because we have great kids, we have great parents, we have a great supporting staff. You know, starting from our principal, I mean, even our administration, our superintendent, down to our principal, and I have a great athletic coordinator and head football coach, and Coach Gonzalez. And I think what he's implemented there at Harlingen South, the whole family, no fear, all faith mentality is starting to pay off in every single sport. So hopefully this is not the beginning of it. I mean, hopefully we're going to sustain this for a while and keep pushing forward.
And guys, Harlingen South head coach Brian Molina, again, the Hawks will be taking on Wesco East this weekend in a tough matchup, 32-5A. Coach, thank you so much for your time, and see you around.
Thanks, Ruben.
Back with more after this here on RSL Talkin Sports.
We are Peter State North Lady Raiders, and you are watching Real Sports Live.
Baby, just listen to me.
Escucha.
We do everything with
Prontísimo.
Out of home business or
Flexible.
insurance for all your
Barato.
needs. You say you just got a new boat. Come on by and we'll give you a free quote.
Prontísimo.
Okay, who's singing? Muriel. Hello?
Accesible.
Come on.
Ask your agent how you can start saving with Pronto. Best price in town.
This is Idea North Mission, and you're watching Real Sports Live.
We're Idea Donna, and you're watching Real Sports Live.
We are back here at Luke Furia Motors in Brownsville, Texas, and it's a Wednesday afternoon. This is our normal spot. Now, we're continuing to talk about that we may be moving this show around. It's still going to be the Luke Furia Coaches Show, but to accommodate these basketball coaches across the Rio Grande Valley, in some cases it may be better off that we're at a different location. We'll maybe pack this thing up and plant it somewhere else. So keep in mind that we may be moving the show around to accommodate these coaches. Speaking of moving around, Kevin, the holiday break saw some good basketball, and you got to go to West Oso and see some talent that teams from around here in the Rio Grande Valley are going to be looking at if they're going to play in the playoffs in some cases.
Yeah, potentially on the girls' side. On the boys' side, it was a boys and girls tournament. It was the 8th annual Roy Williams Holiday Classic up in West Oso. So it was a 2-day tournament, Tuesday and Wednesday. And the way Rudy and I platooned it, I believe it was a boys game, girls game, lunch break, so on throughout day one, and then day two was the same, I think, except they may have gone doubleheader girls, doubleheader boys. But we saw a variety of teams that I've never seen. San Antonio East Central wound up winning it all on the boys' side. They beat Brennan. And I was telling Rudy that I was like, hey, Brennan, that's the home of the Bluebell ice cream up there near Bryan College Station. So I was a little familiar with Brenham. I did not know they were a 5A school. I would have guessed they might have been a 2 or a 3A. But Brennan played San Antonio East Central in the finals, and East Central wound up winning it all. And Rudy can testify to this. Just the size and the physicality of some of those players was pretty impressive. It was just a different level of ball. Guys that are guards that are 6'2", 6'3", some really good ball play. We had some teams from Victoria West. I thought that was pretty impressive. Santa Gertrudis, we got to see them again. I know Caden McClure, he had 40 points first game, popped off for 40 piece. So he was our player of the game, and I thought Santa Gertrudis played pretty well. I just remember them playing Bishop last year and how intense that game was. Kudos to San Perlita as well. For going up there and competing in that tournament. Overall, I just thought it was really very competitive. Like I said, we Rio Sports Live reached a different variety of fans. Fans from Brenham, Victoria West, Flower Bluff. I know a couple on the girls' side of most of the Flower Bluff fans were familiar with Rio Sports. Aransas Pass on the girls' side. But on the girls' side, I think it was Flower Bluff that was head and shoulders. They were the best team in that tournament. They wound up winning the tournament. They beat Aransas Pass on the girls' side of things. But a 2-day tournament that Rudy and I tackled on both Tuesday and Wednesday. And that's what I did last week. Tuesday, Wednesday, going into the New Year break, and then going into the Christmas break. We just had your regular slate of games. But I think Joe's okay. Good. Yeah, he lost his breath there for a second. It happens. It's no big deal.
And I'm back.
Yeah, no big deal. It happens. But
live TV, right?
Yeah, it's all good. But yeah, I was telling Ruben, that Flower Bluff team was the one that really impressed. And later down the line, when I was talking with Coach Lottie Zarate from Vela last night, she asked how good was Flower Bluff. I said they're pretty good. And I forget that they're in that 29 5A district, and eventually, like you said, might cross paths with someone from the valley, and it is very well might be Vela that maybe have Flower Bluff on the horizon, whether that's depending on the seeding, a second round or maybe a third round matchup.
Somebody in 5A had better look at Brennan, and if somebody beats Brennan, you know how good that's going to be.
Yeah, well, I think that would be a regional tournament matchup eventually. Right now with Coach Mando Perez, I call him Chente,
yeah.
But or Don Mando Perez. I have a lot of nicknames for him, but we were talking about the 5As on the boys' side. That in their eyes, Flower Bluff's one of the teams out there that's going to be tough. That's going to be one of the teams to beat out there in 5A. They're the team that ended Pace's season last year. Let's not forget that, and that's because we felt that Pace was 1 or 2 in the Valley with them in St. Joe. For a Pace to get knocked out in that second round against Flower Bluff. Corpus Christi Veterans was another team that they wanted to keep an eye on up there. West Oso boys also, I thought they impressed really well, but, they're down in 4A. But, South basketball, I'm glad that the coaches, not that they weren't paying attention, but they do know, and they're paying attention to seeing that, 5A just might be harder than 6A, which we've been saying it all along, depending on your sport, because you're going to jump into that 29 5A in that second round, and that's equal to a third or fourth round matchup in certain sports.
It really is. Now let's switch gears here, and on the St. Joe side, as we're down here in Brownsville, St. Joe basketball enters the meat of their district play, and the boys rolled again last night. The girls were challenged and came up a bit short, but St. Joe sports alive and well, Kevin, including the soccer team.
Yeah, the soccer team, they got a win yesterday. Kiko was the player of the game. They went up to Saks, that's San Antonio Christian, and they got a win in district play. And shout out to Jacob Young for making the road trip. I thought he'd have some fun. Those road trips can be fun, and especially when you have a love for the sport like Jacob does for soccer. But a good win for St. Joe. On the boys' side, they played Edinburgh North. So it's a little strange because there was not non-district game. On the girls, they had a district game. They wound up losing that one, but the girls are a little bit behind the guys as far as where they want to be. But I fully expect them to make that turnaround. Especially with Andrea Hasso and Regina Tovar and Villarreal. Those three they can really get it on the girls' side. There's still a lot of district games to be played. For the boys' side on St. Joe, I feel that. I haven't seen him in a while, but I know the last I saw and just seeing what they did last night, Jimmy, I think he had his 21. The best is yet to come for them as far as their potential and when and how and when they're going to peak.
I think so, too. I think they're guard heavy,
right.
Which was expected. They do have some big that is coming on as far as some size to help out the guards, but if you want to match them up, guards just come out there and outshoot somebody, they can certainly do that. And teams are going to have to take notice of that just because they may come in as a shorter team doesn't mean you can overlook them by saying we can just simply outsize them. That's not going to happen. They've got too many shooters, too many options, and they defend well enough that they don't just allow the entry pass and on the blocks, and so they're going to get better and better. Now let's switch gears totally into soccer, and for the soccer fans, and normally this time of the year, that's when we start getting the calls on Real Sports Live. It's like, hey, what about soccer? What about soccer? What about soccer? Well, the next 3 days, soccer fans, we got you covered. Boys and girls soccer tournaments. Ruben, you're going to be in Brownsville, and that's a good matchup down there at the sports park.
Yeah, the sports park here playing host to the 40th annual BISD tournament. We'll just run down some of the teams for you soccer fans. You got Pool A, Brownsville Porter, Sharyland, Corpus Christi Moody, and San Antonio Stevens. Pool B, have Hannah and St. Joe and Edinburgh. Pool C, Lopez, Harlingen, and Juarez Lincoln. Pool D, Brownsville Pace, Laredo United, Mission. Pool E, Rivera, Hidalgo, and Peter State Memorial. Pool F, Veterans, Palmview, and San Benito. Pool G, LBJ, Corpus Christi Vets, and La Jolla. And Pool H, LF, I don't know if it's La Feria or Los Fresno. I didn't specify who it was. We also have Laredo, Martin, and Edinburgh North.
It's going to be Los Fresnos up there in that tournament. Again, they load that up on the boys' side as far as the teams that play, and they disperse them amongst the area here in Brownsville. But everything eventually rotates. When you talk about the cream of the crop rising, it all rises to that turf field. And so that's where we'll be set up tomorrow, beginning with the early games on the turf at the Brownsville Sports Park. And we'll have coverage all the way throughout the championship game on Saturday. And, Kevin, we've also got Jacob Young in his wheelhouse. He's going to be covering girls soccer. He said when he looks at that one, that's a good-looking soccer tournament up in McAllen.
Yeah, the fact that Gregory Portland and Cal Allen are coming down, and I do know Cal Allen is a year away from the state tournament. GP made a tremendous run last year, so you just throw those two in there in the mix. And then you have the three McAllens. And I just told Jake, I was like, say no more. You know what you're talking about. And it's ironic because the one soccer game that I did cover last year was Gregory Portland and McAllen Memorial. And I was like, the soccer gods are punishing me because I think that game might have gone like double OT or something like or extra time. Excuse me, I learned it that day. It's called extra time. They went into 2 extra times. I was like, man, this game is insane. And Jake was like, yeah, Gregory Portland's the real deal. So they're coming down. Cal Allen's coming down. And then the three McAllens. So Jacob's excited for it. I know he's planning to be at Mac High Stadium for those matches at 3, 5, and 7. And then back there Friday. So he's got it all mapped out. So there's a lot of soccer that's coming in the next 72 hours, really. Even on the Brownsville side, looking at that boys bracket we were talking earlier, Brownsville's the capital of soccer. It's a fact. So, anyone that wants to challenge that, go right ahead. That's where the Valley thrives when it comes to a team sport. Because we have teams legitimately go up and win state. Rivera in 16, Porter in 14, Sherryland won one in there, I think 2012 maybe. So
Porter in 17 too.
Yeah, so these teams, they win state, and it's an expectation. And you always have Progreso, who is constantly in the state tournament. You have Hidalgo, who makes a lot of deep runs, and of course you have Valley View. That's always in the mix, and you want to talk about a rivalry, Pace and Valley View boys soccer. You talk about, it's like the Super Bowl, the World Series, and like the finals all in one. It
is. When it comes to soccer, that's what it is. The measuring stick, I've always used it at least for 10 years plus down here in the Rio Grande Valley. I've measured. You want to say you're good. Tell me who you beat in Brownsville, and we'll go there. And then Brownsville Pace says, well, we're top dog in Brownsville. That's the statement that you make. And then Valley View is saying, well, the Sherrylands, the Pioneers, the teams up here, the Hidalgos, are measuring themselves against us. We're the top dogs. So when these two square off, that's something else. But Hidalgo is in this Brownsville tournament, and they'll make some noise down here. But, again, watch the soccer action that's going to take place on the turf. Ruben, you should be excited. As a soccer guy, you should be excited about this tournament.
I'm also excited, too, because it's the first time I'm going to call soccer since April of 2021. And I'm just excited for it. It's my first soccer tournament, so it's going to be fun. And, of course, I know World Cup was a couple weeks ago, and I know for you Argentina fans, the debate's over. Messi over Ronaldo. I agree that myself. Anyways, that's not the point. But it's going to be an exciting weekend. We got soccer. And then one more thing we can't forget to add, East-West All-Star Game Saturday.
That's true. We do have football coming up on Saturday. That's right. We got the big game, 7 o'clock kickoff in Edinburgh, Kevin.
Yeah, that's Saturday at 7 at Florida Stadium, East versus West. So it got here a lot quicker than we thought, because I know the last time was about 3 weeks we had the coaches here, Coach Farias, Coach Lee, and Coach Krell here. So football fans, be sure to go out to the game. Go out to Richard Florida Stadium. It's in Edinburgh. It's at 7 o'clock. For the family that cannot make it, this is where we come into play, because I want that stadium packed.
So do I. I want that thing. So, and they are selling tickets at the gate. So don't think you have to go online and find them somewhere. They're willing to take your payment right there at the gate. Join us there. Maybe we can set up a tailgate with somebody. Who knows?
Hey, Edinburgh can put on a pretty good tailgate. I'll tell you that. There's plenty of room for it. So.
Yes, good stuff. All right, that's going to wrap up our show here from Luke Furia Motors, home of Buick, GMC, Cadillac. Man, there's a Cadillac right across the way. Let Rudy swing that thing over there. I was like, Rudy, drive that thing around, and everybody's going to want you to work for Real Sports Live if you're driving that Cadillac. That is a beauty. They got some new trucks on the showroom floor here at Luke Furia Motors, one of our sponsors here on Real Sports Live. But that's going to wrap it up for our show. Kevin Naro, one more thing.
Hey, real quick, shout out to Eliza Rodriguez and Ashley Gonzalez. Both
2,000 points.
Both career 2,000 points. That happened last night with Eliza and last week with Ashley Gonzalez. So shout out to them.
Good stuff. That'll do it for our show. Until next time, I'm Joe Bowling for Real Sports Live. We'll see you then.